Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. You're talking to Donald Robinson, Grammy nominated producer Donald Robinson, and I'm here once again to give you some more tips. I gave tips part one and part two 2 weeks ago about songwriting. I gave you 5 tips for the first part, and I gave you another 5 tips for the second part. So now, after you have your song together and you have that great song, what do you do next? And the next step for me is go into the studio, find a great studio to record that wonderful, beautiful song that you created. It's so important to find a great quality studio to do that. So today we're going to talk about how do you go about finding the right studio? What are some of the things you should do actually before you go into the studio? And I'm going to talk a little brief about that, about pre-production, meaning that once you have the song, and say it's a song that you are using and you want a live band, then you should be rehearsing that band. You should not go in the studio and start there. You should have rehearsals. If there's a song that a singer is singing, you should make sure that they know the lyrics inside and out, that they're not just reading off a paper when they go into the studio. That's pre-production, making sure you have everything prepared before you actually go into the studio to start getting that record done. Okay? So make sure you have those rehearsals. Make sure you know exactly what you're doing before you go in. And believe me, that's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money. Some of the stories, I remember back in the day when I was really green at going into the studio and producing. I spent so much money, it's ridiculous, on some of the things that I wish I would have known. So this video is for me to help you so you don't go through some of the things that I went through when I was younger and was recording and didn't really have a clue about it. So here's some tips. One is start with a budget. Look at how much money do I have to really record what I want to record. Sometimes you may not really have enough to do it the right way. You may need to save up a little more. All right, sometimes you may think, I heard the studio only charged $25 an hour. And you're thinking, oh, that's a great rate. But that $25 is only for the studio. That doesn't include the engineer. That doesn't include what it's going to cost for you to mix and master the song. And you end up spending a whole lot more money. Or they end up holding your project and they don't give it to you until you actually have the money to pay them. So you don't want to go through that. You don't want to go through that, believe me. All right, so the pre-production part, you want to make sure you have your rehearsals together. And then if you're going to pick any studio, make sure you get recommendations. You want to find out that that's the right studio for you to record in. Now, studios are different, okay? There's some studios that focus more on rock. There's some studios that are more R&B. There's some studios that are known more for gospel music, classical music. So you don't just want to go in any studio. You want to get recommendations and find out that that's the best studio for you. Get feedback. Now you can go on Google and see what people are saying about the studio. Find out if it's a really professional studio. Find out if the people there really have integrity. I think that's a big part of it, because you don't want to go into a studio and the guy there is really lackadaisical, or he don't really care, or all he's thinking about is you giving him his money, and he's just, okay, yeah, that sounds great, okay, pay me. And you don't really get that great chemistry that you need to have, I think, in every studio between you and the engineer in the studio, and making sure they really have your best interests at heart. That's really important. Look at the place. When you go visit it before you actually record. Find out if it's a studio where it's really clean or sloppy. Sometimes you can just go in and get an idea of what you're walking into by just looking at the place and how organized it is. That's very important. Okay, so get recommendations. That's so important. Now, once you find that studio and you feel comfortable, yeah, this sounds like the studio I need to be in, and you're sure that they really focus on the genre of music that you like to do. If you do R&B, you want to make sure that the engineer really knows how to mix R&B, or if it's pop or jazz or whatever it may be. Make sure that you have the right studio and that they focus on the genre of music that you want to record. Now, in every studio, how do you know when you go in the studio that they have the equipment that you need? Well, every studio should have certain things. One is a great DAW system. DAW, we call it DAW system. It actually stands for digital. It stands for digital audio workstation. And basically that's like, do they have Pro Tools? Are they using Logic? Are they using Cubase? Are they using Studio One? Any of the top known, what we call DAW systems, should be in that studio. And some studios have more than one or two. They have different ones depending on what you may use. Because as a songwriter, you may have used Logic to write the song at home, and you just want to take those files to that studio. So check out their DAW system. If you're recording live, you want to make sure that they have a great line of microphones. And you might say, well, I don't know if microphones are good or not. Well, get a list of the names of the microphones. You can Google them. It'll tell you. These are quality microphones that you use in the studio. So you want to find out if they have great microphones, great instruments, great amplifiers. Do they have an organ? Say you're doing gospel and you want to make sure that they have a B3 organ there, because of course, if you're doing gospel music, you're going to probably want a B3 on some of your songs. So you want to check out the equipment and make sure they have what they need to have. And you want to find out if they have a great room. Is it a great control room where all the your preamps and all of the things, the quality preamps are there? And you want to make sure they have a great live room. It's not just some closet where they have drums in a closet and they're trying to record and they putting everybody in these little rooms that is somebody's house. So you make sure you go and check out the studio first before you record. That's so important, okay? So get quality recommendations and find out about the studio. And a big part of that is the engineer. Find out who's going to be engineering. Sometimes you'll go in the studio, you'll just see the room, but the guy that you talk to may not be the engineer. Well, you want to make sure that engineer, you find out who's engineering the session. Make sure that they have a good track record. Make sure they haven't been engineering for just 6 months. You never know. Sometimes they'll have some intern come in and he really don't know what he's doing. He's learning as he goes. So you want to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting before you go into the studio. Because all of this adds up to more time and more time. If someone don't know what they're doing and they're taking 2 or 3 hours to set up a drum set and it's still not sounding right and they can't find the chords to the amplifier or whatever it may be, this is costing you because you're paying for the time. So you want to make sure that you understand what you're getting before you get in there. And one of the things you can check out also, and this is a big one for a lot of studios, there's some studios, when you get in there, they start the clock right away. Say you booked a session from 12, you get there at 12, but at 12 o'clock, they're setting up the studio. Well, you want to find out, does that include setup time? Because sometimes setup time may take 2 to 3 hours, getting all the drums right, getting all the inputs into the board right. That may take a while. And now you're paying for that money and you're not really recording at all. It's setup time. So you want to make sure those hours does include setup time. That's a question that you can ask. All right. So we talked about equipment, microphones, and things like that. There's certain mics that are classic mics. For example, the AKG 414s are known for using on vocals, and you got your Neumanns, your 87s and 67s. These are $5,000 mics, up to $10,000 mics, depending on what they are. And they all are quality mics. So once you see studios that have these type of equipment in it, then you can understand why the price may be a little higher. But you also need to know that the quality that you're going to get is going to be better than a lot of other studios that you may have been to. So you have to really watch out for those studios that charge $25 and you thinking you're getting a good deal, but in the long run the quality is not going to be good because of the equipment that they have. So make sure you check that out. And the quality of sound, and that goes to the room and the space that you have. Is it soundproof? Is there sound reinforcement? Soundproof means that basically the room is pretty much a dead sound and you're not going to hear any other noise coming into that room as you're recording. All right. Sound reinforcement is basically a little different. It just means that, for example, you have different types of sound reinforcement on the wall. that makes the sound not bounce, so you don't get as much echo or reverberation into a room. So that's important. And once you have those things, I think that's the most important thing that you really need to check out when you're in a recording studio. So let me get back to you from here. We'll talk more about recording studio. I think I'm going to do a part 2 where we'll talk more about what you actually record and what should really come out from your sound. What are those important things? Today, I just wanted to focus on the recording studio. How do you go about picking the studio, and some of the tips that will help you to be better. Now, please don't forget, you can always give me a shout out. Go to my website, DonaldRobinsonStudios.com, fill out a quote request. I really would appreciate that. And let me know how I'm doing, because I'm really trying to do a good job with this. This is all new to me. And, you know, for me to step out like this and get in front of a video camera is a little nerve-wracking in some ways. I'll just put it that way. But I'm doing it because I really want to help you succeed and get where you want to get to. And also, please, I'm trying to build up my YouTube channel. So as you see this, please go to my YouTube site and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And just, I want to know how I'm doing. I want to do the best job that I can. I would love to hear your feedback. You like what I'm doing, if some things you think I can do a little better and different. I'm trying to make this kind of free and not really make it too, you know, preachy and have all of these notes, but really just kind of talk from my heart what's going on. So, you know, bear with me if I kind of slow down here and there, but I'm really just want to give you the best that I can give you. So again, I appreciate your time today. Thanks for checking me out. Keep checking me out. And go to my website and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right. You have a blessed day. Thank you so much.